Hello, welcome to the student walkthrough video for Paper 1, questions 5 and 6. In this video, we are going to be focusing on questions 5 and 6, looking at how the question is constructed, how to answer the question, and tips on what makes a good answer. We have other videos available which will guide you through the paper as a whole. And there are also videos so that you can work through each question in detail. Question 5 and 6 is your judgment essay question on this paper. This question will ask you to evaluate a statement about change in history. The statement could focus on similarity and/or difference, change and/or continuity, causation, consequence, or significance. It is worth 16 marks, and there are 4 marks available for spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Don't forget, when you answer this question, you have a choice. You can either answer question 5 or 6. Read both questions and choose your question carefully. We advise that you spend 25 minutes answering this question. That's about 31.5 minutes if you have extra time. And again, we advise that you spend up to 2 minutes to think about your answer, to plan your answer. Using knowledge in addition to the stimulus points can help you to achieve a higher mark. For this question, you do need to reach a judgment. This can be done in an introduction or a conclusion. You must explain your judgment, explain your criteria, or weigh your evidence. We are going to look at this question taken from the Medicine in Britain paper. There was significant progress in medical knowledge in England during the Renaissance period, circa 1500 to 1700. How far do you agree? Explain your answer. When you're answering the judgment question, you must look for the focus of the question. What do you need to explain? In this case, you're thinking and explaining significant progress, and we've underlined this in red for you. You then need to look at the time period that you need to focus on. And here, this question focuses on the Renaissance period, medical knowledge in the Renaissance period. Take up to 2 minutes to think about your answer, to plan your answer. On high mark questions, such as the judgment question, we provide you with 2 stimulus points, and you are also instructed to use information of your own. This means you should aim to write about 3 aspects of content in your answer to be able to score highly on the question. Examiners are looking for a wide range of knowledge. However, don't worry if you are only able to write about the 2 stimulus points. Examiners will still reward you for doing this. Examiners try to choose stimulus points that will be familiar to students, but don't panic if you don't recognise one of them or can't remember much about it. You don't have to use our stimulus points, and you are free to write about what you know in your answers. Here we have a range of questions from the other papers from paper 1. The Crime and Punishment paper, the Warfare paper, and the Migrants in Britain paper. You will see that a similar approach is taken to the questions across all papers. You are looking for what do you need to explain, and this has been highlighted in red for you. And what knowledge do you need to use? What time period do you need to use to support your explanation? This has been highlighted in blue for you. Have a look carefully for the question for the paper that you are doing. So let's return to our question from the Medicine in Britain paper. For this question, we need to explain that there was and/or was not progress in medical knowledge in the Renaissance period. For example, you could focus on the developments of anatomical knowledge. You could focus on the developments in the diagnosis of disease. You could focus on the increase in experimentation. But you could also consider that throughout this period, there was no advance in the ideas about the cause of disease and illness. You need to support your explanation with knowledge from the Renaissance period. For example, Vesalius's dissections, that Harvey discovered that the heart circulates blood, or the preventions and ideas that existed during the Great Plague of 1665. You must then reach a judgment about whether the progress made was significant and explain your judgment. There is not one way of approaching an answer to this question, but try to include these three things. An answer that is completely one-sided has not weighed the evidence. You are asked, how far do you agree? So even if you fully agree with the statement, you should still explain why the other side of the argument is not convincing. If you completely disagree with the statement, you should still consider the statement, as otherwise this is just an essay on the topic and not an answer to the question. Coverage of both sides of the argument does not need to be even, but you do need to consider the factor or the event in the statement and the alternative views. So what will your examiner be looking for when they mark your answer to the judgment question? They will be looking for clear arguments in relation to the question. And here we have an extract from an answer that scored highly last summer. This answer has argued that there was not progress in the understanding of the cause of disease. Your examiner will be looking for knowledge to support your arguments. And across your answer, they will be looking for three aspects of knowledge. And your examiner will be looking for you to explain your arguments. And here on this answer, we can see at the end that the candidate has explained how the Great Plague shows that there was little to no progress in medical knowledge. There's not one way of approaching a paragraph, but do try to include these three things. As I said earlier, for this question, you do need to write a judgment. The judgment can be made at the beginning of your answer, it can be referred to throughout, and then it can be concluded at the end of your answer. There's a range of ways that you can approach writing your judgment, but make sure that your judgment is explained. Make sure you explain why you overall agree or disagree with the statement. So what makes a good answer? Here we have some examples of how you can approach the writing of your answer. You may use words from the question to start your answer. Start each paragraph with a direct focus on the question. Use connectives to explain the focus of the question. And use knowledge to support your explanation. Try not to just describe what you can remember. That brings us to the end of this walkthrough video. In this video, we have looked at how you should answer question 5 and 6 on paper 1 of your GCSE History exam. We hope you have found it useful. Remember, we have videos for every question on each paper available. You can also find more information for students on our website under the course materials. Check the section that's titled Student Support.